and welcome to today's episode of Linking In with Louise. Today I have got a good friend of mine on as my guest, Lucy Eckley. Lucy and I have met several times in person, mainly in London, but Lucy also came over to Belfast and was a speaker when I did the first social media bootcamp in Belfast. Unfortunately, we haven't got any conferences to go together so far this year, but hopefully next year that will be a different story. So, Lucy, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Louise. Thank you for inviting me. I'm super excited to be here on your podcast and a return guest too.
Yes, you are a return guest. And there's not that many people are invited back, So obviously you did a good job the first time. So Lucy, would you please take a moment and just introduce yourself to the listeners and let them know a little bit about yourself and your business, please?
So I run a consulting business called Build Your Brand Story. And I help independent consultants build a unique story so they can stand out in their industry, get hired by their ideal clients, and grow their expert status. So brand story, I'm sure you've probably noticed, has become a bit of a thing, but I've been talking about it for about 6 years. And my approach is really simple, but it's actually highly strategic. And I always tell people that it will change the way that you feel about messaging and content forever. Because it gives you total clarity around the message that you want to share. And with that clarity comes confidence.
Oh, excellent. I love that. Lots of really good C words actually in business. Confidence, clarity, content, communication. I know that your ideal client is an independent consultant. And before we dive into how you work with people, I just wanted to mention your Independent Consultants Network in Oxford. How is it going? Are you still all meeting even though we aren't supposed to meet in person? What's happening there?
So it's actually been really challenging. So about 2 years ago now, I realised that there was loads of networking in and around Oxford. So that's my local area. And there was nothing though for independent professionals. So I kind of had this crazy idea to start one. And since the COVID situation has been around, it's been a real challenge because it has really kind of struck at the heart of what our meetups were all about. Because really they were for independent professionals who work on their own and don't get a whole lot of chance to meet up. So they were hugely sociable. But thanks to the power of Zoom and virtual networking, we acted really quickly actually in March. So we had a speed networking event that was set up, and even before lockdown started, we moved that to be online. So yeah, we're still going. We've just had to be very very proactive and think creatively. So we're doing working lunches rather than 3-hour co-workings because we realised people just weren't really enjoying hanging out for 3 hours on Zoom. It's not quite the same if you can't go to a coffee shop, but we found ways to keep things going, for sure.
So for because I'm like you, I love meeting people in person too. And before this whole pandemic arrived on our doorsteps, I had started to run LinkedIn breakfasts in Belfast, and really I just love bringing people together, seeing people connect and seeing what comes out of it. And I haven't run those actually during the whole lockdown, and I'm not sure. I think I miss it. I miss that whole bringing people together angle. And I always remember seeing images on your social media from your events and thinking, oh, I wish I lived closer to Lucy because they look really fun.
Can't wait. Honestly, cannot wait to be able to bring people back face to face together again. It's not going to be anytime soon, but there's something in the energy of getting people in a room is quite special.
Yes, I agree. Absolutely. So, Lucy, tell me something about your ideal client. Who is it that you really love to work with?
So I love working with mid-career professionals. So they tend to be people who've had a corporate career. They're really talented. They've got some amazing expertise, and they're now providing that independently. So providing their professional expertise to other businesses as an independent consultant. And the challenge that they often have is that they have lived behind somebody else's brand for 10, 15, even 20 plus years. And then suddenly they have to be able to articulate why somebody should hire them as an individual and the massive value that they can bring to clients. And that can actually be really daunting to have to explain that. The thing is that these people actually have all of those answers, and I can use the experience that I've had as an in-house communicator and also running my own consultancy just to really draw those answers and the uniqueness of that person's personality, their passion for what they do, and all of their expertise. Really draw that out of them in a way that connects with their ideal clients. And I just love helping people really just be able to bring themselves and their expertise to life in a way that is going to help them work with people they love working with every day.
Yes, so just listening to the way you describe it, and I love how you describe it, but we're really talking about, so I'm thinking of a client who worked with me recently, and I helped her with her LinkedIn profile, who has worked for years, so she's probably around my age, mid-40s, and has had a very successful career in Ireland in finance, in the financial services space, and has now gone out on her own and is amazing at what she does and could probably get a job, several jobs, if she started applying for jobs pretty easily, but for whatever reason now wants to work for herself and on her own. And as you say, she doesn't have the big corporation marketing machine behind her anymore. And so how does she find clients? How she really knows what she's doing, but how does she get that across to people in a way that makes them want to reach out and connect with her and bring her in as an independent? So say, for example, let's make up a person. Let's make up Sarah. Sarah has left her big corporate shining career in London and wants to now work as an independent consultant with the kind of clients that she was working with under the big company brand, but she doesn't know where to start. If she came to you, where would you start with Sarah?
So I work with lots of people like Sarah, and I think the first place that I really start is reminding people that they're not starting from zero. So Sarah's bringing with her all of this amazing expertise that she already has built up this incredible career so far. Yeah. And people often really wonder about how much of what they've done in the past is relevant, and it's really just around framing that. So I'd work with Sarah through some very simple steps, which are really a classic story framework, but I keep my story framework really, really simple. Okay. So I would really start working with Sarah around figuring out her uniqueness as an independent professional. So looking at who she is as a person, what's her personality. So helping her really make that decision to be herself and step out of that corporate brand that she's lived for so many years, and bring her own personality to the fore and her passion for what she does, because she's been living her career for such a long time and she clearly loves it. So there's something I always think really irresistible about somebody who loves what they do, and really helping her reconnect with that passion. I
like this.
And then looking at her why. So, we're all familiar, I'm sure, with Simon Sinek, who says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So, helping Sarah to think back all those years when she first set out in her profession, why did she choose it? And why does she actually want to be independent? How does she want to help her clients? And what actually will she do? So what will her services be?
I recently on the podcast I had Amanda Berlin on, and she's based in New Jersey. She worked for years in New York City as a PR specialist, actually with celebrities and then with corporations. And she came out on her own. What if Sarah says to you, well, Lucy, the reason I want to go out on my own is because I'm burned out by my job. I'm kind of fed up with it. But what happened with Amanda was, Amanda didn't say any of that, but she basically came out of it. She decided she wanted to try being a life coach, and then realized actually that she had all these skills that she built up through her PR career that she was able to turn around and use with entrepreneurs. She didn't go to work with corporates as an independent consultant, so it is slightly different. But what about the person who comes to you and says, well, I want to work for myself now. I'm fed up working for the machine. I want to be an independent consultant. But what if they're, how do you pull out of Sarah the passion if she's kind of feeling a little bit like, do people come to you because they're feeling a little bit burned out by the corporate machine and that's why they've left their job? Or is that not a scenario that you see?
No, I think it's a common scenario, and I think we're in interesting times at the moment. I think the life-changing scenarios that lots of people have been through over the last few months are actually causing people to think this now. So I think there are people who have had chance to perhaps step back from the treadmill of the corporate world over the last few months. I've certainly spoken to people like that. I don't know if you have. But it's a common scenario. I think people don't come to me because of that. I think they often make the decision to go independent, and that's part of, one of many factors that encourages them to make that decision. I think at the point at which they come to me, they are feeling re-energized around the opportunities of working to their own schedule, and leaving behind some of the things that they found stressful. I think one of the ways that I can really help them, because the second part of the equation in that story, so there's sort of two parties to the story. There's Sarah or someone else in her situation, and then there's Sarah's ideal clients, and this is where creating that very strong story framework really sort of helps you stay on track with feeling re-energized, because it's all about attracting the people that you're going to love working with. And I think that's what creates and continues some of that passion, that you can stay re-energized by making sure that, this sounds maybe unachievable, almost a bit of a cliche, but honestly, that it doesn't feel like going to work every day, because you love what you do and you are bringing the right people to your business that are going to keep you energized.
I feel like that is a place where you and I both are in our businesses. I know that I love what I do, and I can tell that you do too. I mean, you do brilliant little videos on your social media all the time, and it comes across that you love what you do. So hopefully if someone like Sarah is listening to us, they can feel inspired that you can build a business and work with really lovely clients. I mean, does that sound a bit Pollyanna?
Well, maybe it does to some people, but I agree. I think I'm absolutely feeling like I'm in that position now, both with the consultants that I work with, and even when I work in the corporate space, I can honestly say it doesn't feel like work, and I honestly think that is down pretty much 100% to the amazing people that I work with.
I love that. So in terms of, we talked, did you mention there a framework, Lucy? How do you build a frame? What is a frame? First of all, what do you mean when you talk about a framework for somebody with their brand story?
So first of all, I really talk about the framework because it's about getting strategic with this, about, like it is with everything in business, to know what you want to achieve and to actually be successful at it, you need to have a strategy. And I experience a lot of my clients will sit down to do something. It is to write their website. Sometimes it is because they need to explain at a networking event what they do. That dreaded, so what do you do question. Or it could be to create their content marketing plan, or maybe their LinkedIn plan.
Yes.
And they just have no idea where to start, because it's just this blank page. And so the framework is really all about mapping